Well, hello, this is Mike Jacko with Real Estate Promo. I'm in Rio with another Flip It Friday video for you guys today. And I want to talk about the MAO formula. Because people ask me all the time, what is the MAO formula or the maximum allowable offer? And all rehabbers buy based on the MAO formula, even if they've never heard the term MAO or maximum allowable offer. They may have never heard that term, but they're using a formula of their own that basically gets to the exact same number. And so in the industry, we just termed it the MAO or maximum allowable formula. So I'm going to explain that to you guys today here, what that is. So let's look at a property. Let's say we got an after repaired value ARV of $310,000 and it needs $60,000 worth of work. So what is the MAO, the maximum allowable offer on that property? And I was talking to another investor the other day who was really bugging me about that, and he kept asking questions and he was really analytical and wanted to know all the numbers and the details. So I wrote it out on the whiteboard for him. It took a little while. We went through every little detail, and so I figured, let's just take a picture so I could show everyone else. I only want to do this one time for everyone. And I mean, he was really grateful that I went and did all that for him. But then he says, no, what I really mean, Mike, is what's the simple version? Is there a simple formula? Well, yes, of course there is. Most people already know it. It's ARV times 70% minus repairs. So MAO equals after repaired value times 70% minus repairs. That's a simple way of getting to the cash offer for a deal. So we go back and look at this one for the $300,000. And this is on a property that I was looking at a while ago where the seller was asking 200. And when I ran the numbers, when you take $300,000, 310 times 70% minus $60,000 in repairs, that gets you $157,000. Okay, now that you understand the formula, what breaks that down? So let's give you a little bit simplified version, because what really people want to know is that 70%, there's a 30% different there from the ARV. What is that all about? So what makes up that 30% difference? Well, first of all, when you buy a property, you're going to have about 2% in buying costs. And then while you're doing the renovation on a property, you're going to have typically about 3 to 4% in holding costs. That's going to be your payments on payments on the interest on a loan for like a hard money or private lender type of loan, utilities, insurance, all those costs that you're going to have to pay no matter what while you're holding on to the property. Okay. And then when you sell the property, you're going to have 2 to 3% in closing or in selling costs on that as well. Most of the time when you're selling a rehab property, you're going to be selling it through a realtor, so you also have to factor in a realtor's commission. Now, if you are the realtor, part of that profit is going to come back to you. But if you're just like the average investor rehabber who's going to be hiring a realtor, you're going to have to pay that. You add all that up, and that equals 15%. So that leaves us with about 15% for our profit margins in there. And that's what makes up that total 30%. Now, when I talk to investors all the time, let's go back to the other slide. That profit margin, we're looking at a 15% profit margin based on that 7%. When I talk to investors and myself as well, when we really look down and run the numbers and see what is the true profit margin on most of our deals, it's averaging between 10 and 12%. Because a lot of times we also have to get hard money, so we have to pay some points on that as well, and a little bit of interest. It all adds up. So that 70% MAO formula really generates a true 10 to 12. It can definitely go 13, 14, 15% if everything works out perfectly as planned. But you can figure with that formula, you're going to be running about a 10 to 12, 10 to 13% profit margin using those numbers. Okay, so we come back here and we look at that, gets us to our 157 of this scenario. Then the next question will be like, but Mike, this is a really hot market. I mean, I've been running the numbers like that and I've been watching the properties selling. They're selling for a lot more than that. Or if I do submit offers, I can't get them because somebody else is buying them for a price higher than that. And that's true in today's market right now. If you're looking at properties on the MLS or the easy to find properties, the ones that everyone else can go and make offers on, then yeah, you're going to have to change your formula. If you're finding off market, the harder to find leads, you're doing your own marketing and you're dealing with a seller directly and you don't have competition to worry about, that's where you want to work with the 70%. But if you are working on the MLS and going after the easy, the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that everyone else is going after, to be competitive, the rates that people are running at right now is around 80 to 85%. Okay, so that puts the Mayo on this particular deal, for example, at $203,500. Okay, now let's think about that for a minute. That 70%, 15% of it was allocated towards our profit margin. And if we're looking at here, 15% of the real hard costs, where is your profit margin in here? That's where a lot of the investors have a problem saying, well, I can't make offers like that and still make a profit on the deal. Under normal circumstances, I'm going to say no. The ones that are doing this, though, they are making profits because they're running on a different strategy than you and I are working on. One, they've got their own crews, so it's going to be a lot cheaper for their labor costs, and they're working on high volume, so they're working on smaller profit margins per deal, but they're doing more deals than most rehabbers are doing, most investors. So they're able to do a lot more with cheaper labor. And when they do that, they can also get discounted bulk pricing on stuff. So they get cheaper material costs as well. So they're building in their profit centers elsewhere. Also, a lot of times that they are their own realtors or they have a realtor on staff. So they're consuming some of the profits through the real estate commissions. They're playing all kinds of different strategies to squeeze out as much profit as they can, which will allow them to offer more to be more competitive. So those are the types of scenarios that we're up against. But if you're just working with the regular sellers, then yes, we can get by with 70%. But if you are going to be going after the harder to find MLS properties, the ones that all the wholesalers are hitting to everyone's list, where everybody knows about them, yeah, that's when you're going to be at that 80-85%, and that is the true numbers that most investors are working at. So hopefully this explains to you what the Mayo formula is, why it makes sense, and how you got to change those formulas. And actually, just a side note on that, I'm talking to some investors in some other markets where they've already gone through that really hot market cycle, and their markets have started to calm down already. And I was talking to a couple of investors last month that are buying at 65% because even at 70%, nobody's bidding at that. So they're able to go down even lower because they don't have a lot of competition. So the more competition you have and the more hot, the less inventory and the more competition, the higher that Mayo formula goes. You really can't get above 85% though, because at that point, even if you are turning and burning a lot of properties and you have your own crews and you are getting discounts, at about 85%, once you start getting above that, you're not going to be able to get any profits out of them. So hopefully, you guys, if you like this, click the like button on there and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you get notified whenever I provide these videos for you guys. So with that, we'll see you guys back here next week with another Flip It Friday video.